Gather round, lend your ears. I have a story to tell about a fight long ago that didn't end up so well for one side. It ended up being quite a game changer. A line in the sand taking stands against danger. You see, in the late 1800s in Texas, there was fighting, and you'd keep your gun loaded and next to you. The settlers in that time had a lot to be afraid of, but the one thing that would most often test what they were made of was when Indians attacked. You never knew when it was coming, and before you knew what hit you, they were off and they were running. Always on edge, you were always alert for arrowheads and riverbeds, footprints left in the dirt. Those were the signs of the enemy, the proof of their presence. You rarely ever saw them because their stealth was their essence. There were skirmishes and fights off and on for generations. Gradually, the white men started to assert their domination. Every once in a while, they would think they had them finished. There'd be weeks, even months, where the violence had diminished. But then, wouldn't you know it, things were not what they seemed. This little group of Apaches needed food, so they teamed up with some local Comanches, who, despite their disdain for one another, became brothers because their goal was the same. They felt like they were here first, so this land was their home. They figured everything the white man had was really their own. They figured they'd just steal their horses, steal their cattle, steal their guns. They planned it out, and they were ready with the rising of the sun. So picture this, it's a 102-degree day. Nothing's moving in that heat. Kids aren't bothering to play. The cattle, goats, and horses all just want to huddle in the shade, and if they're able, use their tails to try and swat the flies away. And just in case that's not enough to convince you it was rough, there was a rancher, last name Moss, who was known for being tough, and even he decided on this afternoon to take a break. Maybe sit beside a tree and see if he would stay awake or fall asleep. There's nothing bad about a nap, he liked to say. And as he drifted off, he saw some movement far away. A cow had wandered by. She had an arrow stuck right through her. He scrambled to his feet, grabbed his gun, and hurried to her. I know who's behind this, who's been stealing horse and cattle. That's enough, the rancher said. I guess it's time to have a battle. He called upon some friends and some brave men that he knew, and without any hesitation, they agreed to join his crew. And this next part sounds embellished, but I'm telling you it's true. His own horse had been stolen, so he saddled up his mule. They numbered less than 10, 8 men, talented trackers. Gotta hand it to them, because these clearly weren't your average crackers. They quickly found the trail that the Indians had used. It led them right across our ranch, where they ascended for a view. They rode across a creek, and then they climbed atop B-Rock, and at the summit, they discovered what had happened. They were shocked. It wasn't one cow they had shot. They had slaughtered quite a few. They had taken what they wanted, left the carcasses to stew. This pissed them off, this made them mad. Their anger spilled out like a fountain, and by the time they went through Cutoff Gap, just below that mountain, they were singularly focused. They knew blood would soon be shed. They knew there was a good chance several men could wind up dead, but those fears did not deter them as they doggedly pursued. And as they counted redskin prints in Sandy Creek, they felt they knew that they were going to be outnumbered. This would be a daunting task. Moss gathered up his men and looked at them and asked, "Does anybody want to leave? Now's your chance to walk away. But I'm going on regardless with however many stay." And one by one they answered, "I'll be with you to the end. I'm here to fight all day, all night. You know that I'm your friend." Still moving as a unit, they rode straight towards their fate. They headed for a mountain where the thieves would likely wait. The Indians were smart. They set themselves on higher ground. Then they sent a younger guy to be their spy, to look around. He was supposed to watch for cowboys, supposed to be alert, but he got bored and started drawing little pictures in the dirt. And that's when Moss and crew surprised him. They were on him in a flash. He let out a scream of warning, and he turned around and dashed right up that mountain in a hurry to announce the Texan posse, scrambling over granite that had grown a little mossy. But the Texans on their horses made it up before he did. They surprised that group of Injuns when they popped over the ridge. Up on a mountain called Packsaddle, August 5th it culminated, while their families, wives and children trusted God and prayed and waited. The Texan plan was very clever, and they galloped to a spot that put them in a bit of danger, but was worth it, because they thought if they could just cut off the raiders from their horses and supplies, they'd have the battle won in no time and would not lose any lives. Even though they were outnumbered 8 to 20, they'd survive if they just stayed on the offensive, stayed aggressive, stayed alive. The Indians were armed with guns and ammo they had taken, but their aim was poor, and before long their confidence was shaken. They wanted to get past the Texans back to their supplies, but the cowboys wouldn't let them because their leadership was wise. Sure enough, the Texans held them one by one. The Redskins fell, and with nothing left to lose, their leader screamed a mighty yell. They charged across the field with valor. Mortal combat was now close. A couple Texans caught some bullets, but the Indians had grossly underestimated just how much these settlers sought revenge. As their surge fell short, they turned around, retreated once again. The casualties they had suffered were enough to change the scales. Suddenly, they were outnumbered, and their battle plan had failed. The final Redskins saw their fate and wisely turned and ran. They disappeared back down the hill and were never seen again. Dead bodies were strewn all around, but none of them were white. The wounded Texans all survived. They won the final fight. From that day on, the killing stopped. The white men were in charge. Historians will all agree that Packsaddle looms large as the one battle you can point to that the Indians had lost that wasn't just a minor skirmish, but a big one, with a cost that truly ended all the clashing, all the raids, and all the fights. The settlers were finally safe, could sleep in peace at night. Moss and friends were heroes. They were made of different stuff. Men those days seemed superhuman, brave and true and tough. When you meditate on life back then, you almost have to laugh. In his memoirs, Moss recalled this day. It was just one paragraph.